Hello, Divine Ones. This is Fairy.1111, and this is a channeled message from the Divine Masculine's higher self. As I was sitting on my bed, I glanced at my phone, and immediately I heard the Divine Masculine is at war. And I started to have visions and receive images of the masculine represented by an actual male, like the male figure, men, with their hard hats on, in platoons, with their uniforms, much like this, with their guns on the front line, because they have been called to duty. So going back to the wars, that any male over the age of 18 or older, if they are in good health, they had to sign up for a draft. So in case that the United States was to go to war, that they will have men that will actually step up to the plate and go to war. So you had some that actually volunteered, and then you had others that had to be drafted for to go. And so you have had some of the masculine energy, some of the masculines that have, started on their journey to self-discovery, and they could have been on some type of alignment, I hear program or regiment, even before they met the feminine. But that's a handful. They were willing to step up to the plate before they met their divine partner. And then you had others that were drafted. They thought that they didn't sign up for this. So many of them may say, I didn't really want this. This is not something that I asked for, out their mouth, even with their actions, trying to shun the feminine energy. However, they have been drafted. They have been handpicked by the Creator, the divine source, for a mission, for a divine purpose. They are enlisted in the army of the Most High, meaning that they are to go out and to fight the resistance. So what is the resistance? The 3D suppressed mental, this limited 3D experience. And so the divine masculine, the masculine energy, is at war within himself. And I use him just for simplification, okay, just to explain things without getting too complicated and too far offline. He is in war within himself, within his mind. The masculine energy has to shed a lot of codependent energy, a lot of suppressed energy. They are on the front lines, and their opponent is themselves. At times, the feminine may feel like she is the opponent. She may feel like she is the enemy, because she is the mirror of him. She holds up the mirror and shows him his wounds. You have been striked right there. You have been stabbed right there. You've been punctured right there. You've been shot right there. And by that mirror being shined in his face, this triggers him. This activates him. Not only just to recognize those wounds that have not healed, but to also, he has to attend to them. And so sometimes that he has to cause wounds within himself, self-sabotaging, not even realizing that he is being in the self-sabotaging type of energy, because he has been so used to being wounded. This is also the same for a lot of the feminines. Okay, so you see here on the image that I have up here, we can do it. So that's I'm gonna get to that message anyways. Okay, so when the men either drafted or volunteered were off to go to war on the front lines in the heat of the battle, the women weren't just chilling. What did the women do? They stepped up to the plate. They were at war too. While their face of war may look different, they still were in war. Many of them bared the battle wounds, but they were more so internally. Many of them, you see, had to step up to the plate to do double duty. So they had to balance out their masculine energy as well as their feminine energy. They still had things to do to take care of and to nurture themselves as well as those that they were responsible for, as well as to defend themselves, going out into the quote unquote workforce, working on themselves on the inside and the outside. And even with this balance that I'm talking about, a lot have been out of balance, stepping in. I even hear overstepping with the masculine energy, so used to defending themselves. So think about when the masculine came back from war, from being on the front lines, thinking that he's going to find his sweet divine feminine, excuse me, but to find out that she is now wearing the pants. And so I'm saying this figuratively. I wear pants just the same, okay? I'm talking about figuratively. So she was so used to stepping up to the plate, so used to defending herself, defending her honor, defending her household, defending herself, that when her divine masculine came back and was a changed individual, ready to come into union, she was so hard. She was hard. She was like, no, I got this. No, where were you when I, quote unquote, needed you? And so what the Spirit is saying is that we as divine feminine, and so this could be applicable to a male, okay? I'm just talking about the energy. We have to remember that while we don't really have to protect ourselves, when you protect yourselves, that means that you feel like something is going to attack you or to hurt you. But when you are in alignment with your higher self, that directly communes with the Holy Spirit, the Christless energy, the third energy, and I hear full operation, full control, that you don't have to worry about being hurt. Because guess what? The Spirit got you. The Spirit got your back, your front, your upper, your lower, all around you. But by you having your guard up, by you becoming hard, that you're about to miss out on a huge blessing. But you're also going to activate wounds within yourself as well as within your divine partner. Okay? And so, with the divine masculine coming back, and I even see some of them as broken individuals looking to be fixed. But however, the Spirit is saying that the Spirit will fix you. You know, shedding this codependent behavior and ideology that we're looking outside of ourselves for another person to heal us, for another person to defend us, or either that we have to defend ourselves against others. But when the Spirit has you in alignment, when you are in alignment, that you realize that you don't have to worry about being protected, that the Spirit will always protect you. So think about when a baby is learning to walk. If the mother or the parent was always holding the baby because they were afraid that the baby will fall and hurt him or herself, the baby will never learn to walk. So the Spirit is saying that while you are learning this faith walk, while you are aligning with your higher self, that sometimes you may fall or be tripped, whichever, fall. And you may even hurt yourself. It may hurt. But how will you learn to walk? Okay? You can't expect to be carried throughout every activation, throughout every experience. Because in war, there's going to be actually, we are going to come out with a little bit of bumps and bruises and scars. But we come out. And we come out on top. We come out victorious. And I look at the timer here and it says 555. Shedding that human judgment right here on my stove. And so this stove clock is off. It's like on some other time frame. I don't even know, but it was set like that. I never changed it because I like to go past and see different number activations over there. And it says 555. I hear full alignment. I hear family and shedding the codependency within. And this is talking about the codependency within oneself as well as within the family unit. And that also looks like divine combination. I see with the fives, I see snakes that have intertwined. And so snakes, I'm not talking about someone being like venomous or anything like that. I'm talking about snakes as far as shedding the old skin, which is the 3D suppressed mental, and stepping into this newness. So when a snake sheds its skin, yes, it can itch. Yes, it can probably even hurt. However, when they come out, they're regenerated, they're renewed. They're like a whole new snake, if you will. And so I seen with the fives, I seen the three snakes and them intertwining. And so you're being put in a position for change. And so who is the battle against? The biblical text says that we are not in war against flesh and blood, but against wickedness in high places, principalities in high places. Anyways, it's talking about these energies that are of the resistance. And so what is the resistance? It's what they would say Satan, the devil. So it's basically, the spirit is basically talking about just something that is working against the collective, working against the alignment process. And so it's actually part of the process. So think about when you go to the gym and you have resistance. If you didn't have resistance pushing against you, you would not strengthen your muscles. So it's not to give in or to say, oh no, the devil did it, or no, the devil, or the resistance, whatever you want to call it. It's all synonymous. It's not to give in, because it's activating change. It's building those muscles. So you need that. You need the resistance to build up those muscles so you can win the war against the resistance. So you can go through to the next activation. And so the divine masculine is saying, don't harden your heart towards me. The way how I act in the physical is not who I truly am. And you may say, well, who are you really then? And he says, I am my higher self, and I am fighting to ground my higher self. And I'm fighting to ground this union. But it is, I hear the word hard, but I'm going to change that word personally and say activating. It's challenging. It's changing me. And it's a tough job to change all of these suppressions that in all of this resistance that pushes against me. So I've seen this statue before, and where it's men and they have the American flag on this pole and they're trying to set up the American flag, but it's like it's sort of leaning. It's like they're trying to get it set up or something. And so the pole is heavy and they've been through the battle and they're trying to set up the American flag, the flag, to let the enemy or the resistance to know that they have victory. And that's what he is saying. That's what is going on. The victory is at hand. Okay? The victory is literally at hand. You are promised the victory. As divine ones, as twin flames, you are promised the victory. It's just a matter of going through those different activations to set up your flag. Many of us may be too weak to set up that long pole with the victory flag, but through the resistance, I even hear through the rain, that we are able to set up that flag of victory. Because it's every time we try to push it up, every time we push forward through those different activations, through those different challenges, we get a little bit stronger and we get a little bit further. And one movie that comes to mind, I recommend that individuals do watch this, because it sort of kind of goes hand in hand with this vision. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's called Broken, The Road to Redemption. And Angelina Jolie, she directed this movie, and it's based off a true story. And the dude, like, what he had to go through, but he came through it though. And guess what? You wouldn't believe how activated his heart was. You thought that all the stuff that he had to go through, even torture, all this different stuff he had to go through, that he would have been an old, bitter individual. However, he had such a heart for forgiveness, and God just did something within his heart that he was able to forgive what most would call the unforgivable. And I do recommend individuals, to watch it. It's considered to be a drama, but it's a very inspirational, true story. And so he actually lived during this time period, and he overcame a lot of things. And so, maybe someone wants to go, watch that movie, or maybe you have seen the movie, you can comment down below. But, as divine ones, we have to go through these activations because it's a training ground. So you think about the military, you think about before they go off to war, they have to go through boot camp. And what is boot camp? You come in as your name is Johnny Blaze, or whatever, Susie Q. The army is there to strip you of your identity, your false identity, and give you a new identity. So let's take this analogy even further. So who is the false identity? The ego, the lower self, the limited self. Who is the true identity? The higher self. And it is your job to work through those different activations and the resistance to align with your higher self. So you can ground things, meaning that you can bring things from the celestial planes, the heavenly planes, whatever you want to call it, wherever your higher self resides, whatever dimension that may be, and to bring it to yourself. So that new job that you want, that car, and I'm not trying to make this materialistic, but however, we do live in a material world. And I am a material girl. No, I'm just joking about that. But anyways, and to ground this relationship, to ground the healing, most of all, the healing that is already in the heavenly realms, that other dimension, wherever your higher self is. These are all gifts that are offered to you. The healing, the spiritual gifts, the new knowledge that's coming through. Healing a lot of the family suppressed DNA, a lot of the things that have been hand-me-downs. I hear hand-me-downs, like hand-me-down attitudes, hand-me-down perceptions, limited mindsets, all of this stuff, hand-me-down, handed down from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. Lack, self-doubt, even abuse. The mother was abused, and then she get in a relationship, gets abused, and then the daughter gets abused, or the son gets abused, and then they go on to their children, and it's, even if it may not play out the same exact way, it's still within the DNA. And so through going through this boot camp, this spiritual boot camp, and going through the front lines of the war and facing oneself, remember the battle within oneself, the two aspects of yourself, the higher self and the limited self, the suppressed 3D mental, the one that says I can't. But however, the spirit says you can. You were made to do this. I give you the tools. You already have the tools. You're grounding the tools even more so as you continuously push forward with the foresight, the knowing, and not giving up, because victory is at hand. This is literally like a battle. But it's not to shriek in the corner and be like, battle, I'm not up for the fight. Well, you're not up for the fight, then you're not up for the abundance that's coming through. However, as a divine one, this is your job requirement. Eventually you will catch on, regardless if you're with the 1st platoon or you're going to be the 27th platoon. This is part of your, description. This is part of your destiny, part of your divine will, your divine plan. Co-creator with your higher self co-creator with the divine source to create the will and the purpose in which you came down here in the physical sense. It's all written in the book of life. And the reason why you go through the training ground and this training process is not just to have the relationship, to ground the relationship, but it's also those spiritual gifts and those talents and those abilities. So that way, when you come into union, not just the unification within yourself and the divine source, first unification, but the second unification, which will be the divine star. When you come into divine partnership with your divine partner, your twin flame, your star seed, soulmate, whatever title you want to use, because you have a mission. And so therefore, after going with the ego battle between your lower self and your higher self, and you having the victory, and then coming into unification, divine partnership with your divine partner, you guys go on the quest, you go on another mission, and that's for the help free other ones in the collective, prepare them and train them for their battle so they can have victory. And then as the collective, the connected, we help humanity as a whole. It's not the end once you get the symbolic ring, if you will, or the actual ring, the actual divine marriage. It's just the beginning. It's a ministry. That means it's like a job, a business, but like a spiritual business. Okay? And the divine masculine, once again, is saying, don't give up. Don't give up. And I have to also say that regardless of what the physical circumstance looks like or feel like, you can't give in. And so the Spirit was also saying that same statement like earlier, as far as having the foresight and not being affected by your bank account. You say, oh man, you know, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, or I want to do this, I want to do that, but I only got $5. So by going through this spiritual boot camp, you will learn that you are not prisoner. You're not held captive to the 3D experience, but the 3D experience, aka the resistance, is under your feet. So therefore you become a self-master, and therefore you can dictate to your atmosphere what you want out of your atmosphere. Self-mastery, the magician card, the manifested Christ card, the Jesus card, that's what I call it. In the tarot, the magician card. Okay? So you guys, keep it moving. Keep moving forward. Keep your eye on that victory. Keep your eye on the victory. And I have to also mention this because I feel like the Spirit is pushing me to mention this. In that same movie, in the beginning of the movie, it starts off as that he was a younger child. He was a troubled child. And then he started to change. I can't remember in detail. But anyways, what happened, he started to run. And he became really well at running. So he went to the Olympics. And so to compete amongst, you know, the world's greatest. So anyways, the reason why that came to me, I'm thinking about a marathon. I'm thinking about the victory and about crossing that finish line. Even if you're not the first one that crosses the finish line, you still cross that finish line. You're still able to fight the resistance that was pushing against you to cross that finish line, regardless of how long it took you, regardless of how much resistance was pushing against you. And this is another thing I've learned, that the more resistance that is pushing against you, that means that the stronger that you are, first off, and the closer that you are getting. So when things seems like, oh my goodness, this happened, that happened, this happened, it's because the resistance is trying to test you. Because you're getting closer and closer. Think about until you get so close that it starts to retreat. So you think about like in wartime, or like if someone isn't in a war, they'll turn up the heat. The closer that an individual or closer that the opponent or the enemy gets. And so after they realize that this enemy is going to have victory, and then they retreat, It's the same thing. All right, if you're interested in joining the Patreon family, the link is down below. As well, if you could give this video a thumbs up and a comment, because the more engagement that the video has, the more that YouTube will push this information to more divine ones, more of the trainees, the lieutenants, the generals, the collective, the connected, the army of the Most High, the healing army, you know. And so that is very much appreciated. Interested in personal counseling services or readings, which I'm about to cut back on quite a bit. I'm taking some of those services off. So I'm not going to put all the links down because I'm erasing some of those off of there. You can find those down below. And for those that have given the 613 Higher Wisdom, Higher Knowledge Energetic Exchange, thank you very much for that. That link is also down below. Okay, you guys, love you much. And I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, peace.